In OnlyFans, it's like, let's say, for example, you're dating this beautiful girl, right? And or she works at a club. You know, maybe she's a hostess,
bottle girl,
whatever the fuck. You know, they're in that environment that most men would feel uncomfortable, right? So it's like, maybe they have an OnlyFans or whatever the fuck it is. But if you're gonna start dating them, and then be upset and disappointed that they're doing the profession that they're doing when you knew they were doing it when you started dating, I mean, at the end of the day, it's their job. They do what they want. And if they want to work there, you can't control that, you know? Yeah. So it's like, what you can control is, you can control whether you date them or not.
Yeah.
So if they're working at something that you're not comfortable with, why would you try to date someone who's working there if you know that you're not going to feel comfortable? So now what? You're going to fall into a relationship where you're going to expect them to change. Then you're going to be try to manipulate them, asking them on top of them all the time, saying like, well, you're supposed to be finishing at, I don't know, fucking 3, 4 in the morning. What the fuck? I don't know.
It should work. It should just fit. Oh, everybody goes through problems. But it's like, what do you do? Exactly. You know, like, how do you solve those? What's the right way to go about it?
Who are you? What do you want to do in life? Who do you want to become? Your goals, your aspirations, your dreams. What makes you you?
So today, control what you can and let go of what you can't.
Yeah.
Ironically, that's how we were behind the scenes. We were talking a little bit of personal situations about this, and I thought this would be a good opportunity. But the reason why I wrote this is because we worry too much about things that we really can't control.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, what's the point of stressing out over it? There was a post that I saw on social media a little while back that it's like, well, I forgot what it was, but it's like, oh, what's a life hack in order to like kind of get your mind right or something like that? And the guy takes a step back and he says, you know, write down everything that you're worried about, cross off the things you can't control, and start working on the ones you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then literally you just put your focus on what you can and then completely forget about it. Because, I mean, if you think about it, sometimes, for example, when I'm leaving work, but this is when I would go to the gym in the afternoon, I'd get stuck in traffic and it's like, am I really going to be stressed out about this? Like, it's frustrating because it's like, you try to leave on time. I want to get to the gym on time, so I have to leave at this time to make sure that I'm there because I know traffic's more or less around this. And then let's say that one day I leave at the right time and then there's an accident. So what would have been maybe like a 50-minute, an hour 10 drive turns into an hour and a half, hour 40. And it's like, there's no way in hell that I'm ever going to make it to the gym on time. Yeah. So it's things like that. It's like, well, can I really do anything about this? I can choose to just not go to the gym this day. I can choose to just sit around in traffic, or, what else, like, what else am I going to do? So at that point, it's like, well, I really can't control the traffic. I just got to kind of deal with it. But then in life, we have a lot of examples that we kind of face as well. So it's almost like we just need to focus on again, the controllables. That way we have the choice of and the decision to kind of create the life that we want based on what it is that we can manipulate. But in OnlyFans, it's like, let's say, for example, you're dating this beautiful girl, right? And or she works at a club. Maybe she's a hostess, bottle girl, whatever the fuck. They're in that environment that most men would feel uncomfortable, right? So it's like, maybe they have an OnlyFans or whatever the fuck it is. But if you're gonna start dating them, and then be upset and disappointed that they're doing the profession that they're doing when you knew they were doing it when you started dating, I mean, at the end of the day, it's their job. They do what they want. And if they want to work there, you can't control that, Yeah. So it's like, what you can control is, you can control whether you date them or not.
Yeah.
So if they're working at something that you're not comfortable with, why would you try to date someone who's working there if you know that you're not going to feel comfortable? So now what? You're going to fall into a relationship where you're going to expect them to change. Then you're going to be try to manipulate them, asking them on top of them all the time, saying like, well, you're supposed to be finishing at, I don't know, fucking 3, 4 in the morning. What the fuck? I don't know. And you're still not back. Oh, who else is there? I saw you take pictures. I saw you posted here. And it's like,
you're driving yourself crazy. That's insane.
What's the point?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, control what you can and let go of what you can't. That's not meant for you.
Love it. Yeah.
It's important to communicate wants and needs instead of relying on societal expectations.
It makes sense. It's like, exactly what you just said. Like, is what is it that you're comfortable with? What is it that you aren't comfortable with? Stop trying to change people and stop trying to put your expectations on them, because that's not their responsibility. You can only control yourself, and you can only control your actions. And so instead of trying to change anybody else, you can choose if you're going to be with this person, or if you're going to interact with this person, or if you choose to be with somebody else. It's up to you. And I think that's so important. A lot of people make the mistake of like forcing their opinions, their beliefs, their wants, their desires onto other people. And it's like, you can't do that, you know?
Right. And it's something that we've said before, where it's you're not meant for everybody.
Yeah.
So there's really no point into forcing your opinions onto somebody else, or like expecting them to want to believe you, or to think the same things that you do. It's a waste of time. There's so many different religions. There's so many different opinions. I mean, if you think about it, even in politics, although there's a lot of different types of parties, the one that we focus on, well, we have Democratic and Republican, 2 parties. So obviously 2 different sets of beliefs, 2 different types of candidates that they're kind of standing up for certain things.
Sure.
So you have these debates, and then you want to kind of pick on which one's the right one. But at the end of the day, there's just so much out there. There's no point to exhaust all your energy on maybe an individual, maybe someone that you're trying to date, to change all of these things about them when that's who they are. I mean, there's probably somebody else that's out there that's better fit for you, that you're also going to find attractive, that you're probably going to connect better with, especially in the long run. Why waste all our energy on this one person because they're doing their own thing? Like they're not going to change for you. If anything, they're going to change. They need to change for themselves. If anyone's going to change and they say that they're changing for you, or you want them to change for you, or all these things, that is the biggest red flag. That is the biggest issue you're going to find in the rest of your relationship, because ultimately they're not doing it for themselves. So it's not like they're making the choice because they believe that they need to change. They're only doing it to please you. But they're not pleased.
Yeah.
They're not pleased about the decision that they had to make. So how do you think that's going to happen in the long run with everything else, holding that resentment? Or if there's other situations that the same thing happens, so now this person is now living in this prison, essentially, of things that they want to be doing, but then they're not able to because they're doing it for you. You think that's going to be sustainable?
Yeah.
So what's the point? Removing expectations leads to a more fulfilling relationship with a selfless attitude and letting go of what cannot be controlled.
Yeah, removing expectations. Certainly when it's so true, because especially when you're dating somebody, and then it's like the more you expect from somebody, the more chances are that they're going to let you down. And it's nobody else's job to live up to your expectations. If anything, like coming together, expecting nothing from somebody, I think that's when you have a really genuine connection. And again, it's also what Dr. Hisi always says, you go in, you love this person, and without any conditions, without any restraints. And I think that's also important when it comes to healthy relations with other people, with yourself. So I'm glad you brought that up.
And not to be confused with standards. Because I feel like
that's different. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have standards with what you expect to receive out of a relationship. However, you cannot control people to give you what you expect. Your job is to do what you can. So control what you can, let go of what you can't. You're in control of what you can do for the other party.
Yeah.
To your partner. You're in control of how you can make them feel. You're in control of the actions that you make with them. But you can't control how they're going to respond, if they're going to reciprocate. Ultimately, you just want to do the best that you can, because, again, that's a controllable that you have. But, again, you can't. There are certain expectations when it comes to standards that you have, but they have to at least be communicated expectations as well. So that's which we talked about it before, about communication and interpretation. It's important to have those, because if you're able to then set the boundaries to be on the same page, now we have a set of expectations that's healthy for the relationship. But again, it all comes down to what can be controlled and letting go of what you can't.
Did you have any particular expectation in mind when you wrote this, or was it just kind of in general, especially when you date somebody that you can think of?
Well, we were talking a little bit before.
Yeah, we were. Is that
we can generalize it? I guess.
Yeah, I guess that would be an expectation, right?
Let's talk about it.
Sure. I mean,
general. This is a submitted what is it, a fan submitted client fan written letter.
Yeah. I suppose if you go into a relationship, you have this expectation of maybe like a very fancy wedding or a big wedding ring, and you date somebody who may not be able to give you that right now. If you're dating a multimillionaire, sure, it makes sense, I suppose. But if you're dating an average guy, right, average income, average job for the time being, you go into that relationship thinking that, okay, I want to do a $60,000 wedding and a $10,000 wedding ring.
Is that a realistic expectation?
And if you're going to go into that thinking that, well, how is that going to affect the relationship, right? You know, because because then now you're putting all this pressure onto this person, and it's just, is that really healthy for the relationship? And then so ask yourself, why are you in this relationship to begin with? Is it because of that secret expectation that you have, or is it because you genuinely love this person?
True. Yeah. So then, very good point. Because it's what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Are we here together because you want to be here, or you want to be here because you want to have all these things? Yeah. Now, of course, I mean, I would love to be able to like give everything, you know, that's possible. But at the same time, am I able to? Yeah. And I think that's a question that needs to be asked in that situation, because sure, you can love someone, you can devote yourself to them, but if there's an expectation of like all these fancy things and knowing who they're dating, it's not that maybe that they don't want to, but it's not a realistic expectation, because maybe it's not viable. Like, how do you expect to have all these things when
look your income, do the math? I mean,
doesn't make sense.
About it. Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. So that's one of those things where it's like, how do you expect that to happen based on your current situation? And
if you're going to expect that, it's going to negatively affect your relationship.
Extremely, you know, extremely. 100%. No, and just like you said, like imagine the pressure that then you're putting on the other party, because it's like, well, what does that mean? So then if I'm not able to provide what you're expecting, what does that mean for us then?
Because then now it's like, are you with me for me, or is it because you think I can, because you want me to provide this for you?
And what if I can't?
Then now
what does that mean about us?
Am I replaceable? Am I?
What are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Good point.
Categorizing things can reduce stress by accepting what cannot be changed and focusing on how to react.
Which is what you had said earlier, right? Now, writing down, like the example that you were giving, what can you control? Like, write down all the things that are stressing you out and cross out what you can control.
Exactly.
The same thing.
Because if we go in life kind of worrying about just things that are uncontrollable, how are we ever going to live with the things that we can control? Because then if I allow, for example, let's say I wake up and I have a flat tire.
Yeah.
Right? That fucking sucks. But what am I going to do? Be upset? Like, sure, but I have to fix the tire, right? Just fix it. I can control fixing it. Yeah. Once it's fixed, it's not broken anymore. Yeah, okay, done. There, it's over. What's another thing? I was talking to my señorita in the morning, and I think she parked in a parking lot.
Yeah,
she had a shoot in the morning, and I don't know if I should say it, but whatever. She's there, and then someone comes and they give her a ticket for parking, and she's like, "Oh, but this." I shouldn't have a ticket. Like, I've parked here before, like all these things. Like, when did this change? And it's like, oh, it changed about 2 weeks ago. And she's like, well, but what do you mean? Like, there's nothing here. And the guy's like, oh, there's a sign in the front that says that you have to pay. Like, everyone has to pay, whatever. She's like, oh, but like it changed like 2 weeks ago. Like, is there anything you could do? And then she's there telling me, like, complaining about this guy for doing his fucking job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can't get mad. I mean, you're there trying to get slick by parking there without paying, and you're getting mad at him because he caught you. Like, he's just doing what he's got to do.
Yeah.
So then now, and I'm telling him, like, listen, like, you tried to get away with it. You didn't. Now you're pissed, but you also could have paid. If you paid, you wouldn't have had the situation. You can control paying. You can control not parking there.
I guess maybe she's upset because she wasn't aware of it.
Whose fault is that?
Yeah. I guess she wanted them to fucking tell her. Or maybe let her slide with like a warning.
I'm sure, but
it's
rules are rules, right?
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? So it's like another example, and then there's one more here that I would put. An example is perfect. An example is cheating, which cannot be controlled, but one's reaction and decision to stay in the relationship can be controlled. Pick and move on.
And I remember you had told me about this years ago. It's like, if they're gonna cheat, they're gonna cheat anyways. Why are you gonna drive yourself crazy thinking, what is she gonna do? What is he gonna do? Blah, blah, blah. But now that's negatively affecting you, how you go through your life, how you go through your day, because you think that they may do something. you have an expectation that they're gonna do something or that they're not gonna do something, and it's like, dude, you can't control if they're gonna cheat. If they're gonna cheat, they're gonna cheat, and all you can control is once you find out, you're gonna find out one way or another.
Eventually,
Exactly.
somehow, hopefully.
Are you gonna stay or are you gonna leave? And that's your choice. That you can control. If they're gonna cheat, you can't.
That was, I think, the main example. Yeah, we should have read this whole thing before we started, because that is like the main thing. Because everyone says, "Oh, we cheated. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
I love them. Should I stay?" And it's like, well, do you want to stay? Do you trust them?
No.
Okay,
Then
so
you
if
have a
that's the
answer.
case, yeah. So what's the point? So I mean, you can either drive yourself crazy, yeah, just like you said, wondering if they're gonna be cheating. Let me check their phone. Let me check their location. Oh, they're not here. Where are they? They said they were gonna be here. Let me drive over there, type shit.
Yeah.
But it's like, is that worth living, dude?
Yeah.
Like, dude, you can't control if they're doing something sketch. What you can't control is whether you want to live like that. And then if you find out that they cheat, well, do I want to stay? Is there something worth holding on to, or should I leave? That you can't control.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, let's say you're trying to look for something and you don't trust them. Why even be in the relationship, dude? What's the point?
How sad. Yeah.
You're gonna live your whole entire life.
Wondering and fearful. Oh my God, they're gonna do this. They might not do that. They might do this. Fuck,
But then what's
dude.
the other side? So then you think, oh, but I really love them. And then if we break up, and then what if they're not doing something? Or they'll break up and then we don't have anyone, then I'm single again. I think it'd be better off you being single than being miserable.
100%.
And that's kind of what you can't control. So let go of what you can, dude.
Yep.
Focus on what you can, and you're going to live a lot more like a healthy, fulfilling life, just being able to really worry about the things that you have control over. Just imagine what you can conquer when you actually, and we have talked about it earlier too, and this is why the whole book is kind of connected.
Goes
'Cause
hand in hand. Yeah.
It's effort.
Yeah.
You just got to try. If you try to do something, you can get up really like far in life by actually putting effort towards the things that you want, because that's what you can't control. But if we're going to try to fix the things that we can't,
Yeah.
it's a dead end every single time.
Wasting all energy, time onto something that you can't affect.
For nothing.
Yeah.
And that's the gist of this section of this chapter. It's basically doing what it is that you love and focusing on the things that you can control. Because if there's something inevitable that's uncontrollable, what's the point? What's the point of living a life that you're going to be miserable in?
Yeah. Focus on the things that you can affect, and those are the ones that matter the most, because you can have a direct impact on them.
Yeah. And focus on you. At the end of the day, you're with you. You're in control of your decisions. I can't change what you do. I can't tell you what to do. I mean, if there's certain things that I need from you, I would ask you, but I also can't expect you to do something for me if it's not something that you should be doing.
I like it.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Ciao.